Hey everyone, it's Monica. Welcome back to Because Jesus Bible Journaling. Today I am vlogging for you about the first part of the Arts for Healing training that I recently attended. I hope you enjoy. Hi there. So I wanted to start this video by reading a poem, and then I can vlog a little bit more about what my experience has been so far at this Arts for Healing training. This poem is called Our Greatest Fear by Marianne Williamson. And forgive me, I'm going to be reading it off of my laptop for you. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So one of the women at this training shared that poem, and it just really ministered to me because one thing I'm trying to do in my own life is say no to silence and to go ahead and give myself a voice and allow myself to be a creator, to be creative, and to give others permission to create as well. So I really enjoyed my drive to get to this training. I had to drive about 5 hours to get here, and I just really enjoyed some solo time, just being by myself. That's something that I don't get to do very often. Often when I'm filming my Bible journaling videos, my kids are in the room with me. Our family loves to do things together, and so it's not that often that I actually get to be alone for a prolonged period of time. So I was really enjoying that, and I wanted to share with you one song that really impacted me on my drive. And I had purchased a new album by Daigle, and I'd never heard a lot of the songs on the album before, but there's a song called I Am Yours, and I will link that in the upper right-hand corner of the screen right now. I'll link to a video or something where you can go listen to the song because it really inspired me, and I kind of used it as a declaration as I was driving to the training, just kind of repeating the truth that I am a child of God, that I am His, and that even if storms are raging around, I know the God who is in charge of the storm. He's over the storm. So I thought you might enjoy listening to that song as well. So one of the first activities that they had us do at this Arts for Healing training was create an artistic representation of our intention. Why we've come, what it is we want to accomplish or learn or do at the training. And so it's this little taggy, and I will insert some close-ups of it so that you can actually see it. But it's this little tag, and they asked us to think of one word as a focus word for why we were coming to the training. And I thought of 3 different words and wrote them on the back. And my words were learning, growth, healing. In addition, I also wrote it on the butcher paper. They used white butcher paper to cover all the tables through the whole training so that we could all doodle and create art while we were listening to different times of the trainers sharing their own stories or explaining activities, things like that. We were always allowed to doodle away and create art on these butcher paper tablecloths. So that was my initial intention, was learning, growth, and healing. So we spent lots of time on the first day or two talking about types of trauma and what trauma is, how to deal with people when they're in a distressed state, either feeling really elevated in their emotions and a bit out of control or upset, or just feeling very depressed and down. And these were just really useful activities, and I find myself actually using them already within my own body and my own mind just to kind of refocus myself when I start slipping into feeling low or feeling too worked up or anything like that. So that was a really helpful time. And in the midst of learning about more and more of these activities, I was doing some more doodling on the tablecloths. And so I do want to just kind of share a few of my doodles with you, because I think it will help me sort of reflect and think on what I was learning as I was going through the training. So here's a piece of art that I created on the butcher paper tablecloth again. It says, "It's my jam." And we were talking a lot about how every one of us is actually creative. And if we're believers, actually, we know that we were created by a creator and we were created in his likeness. So if he's a creator, we're meant to be creative as well. Art can come in a lot of different forms: gardening, cooking, dance, music, singing, sewing, painting, all the visual arts that generally come to our minds. But we were talking about how for each one of us, it's just a matter of finding the type of art that's our jam, that's the thing that really speaks to us, that we're able to connect with ourselves through the act of doing the art, or connect with God through the act of doing the art. And these are just all different ways that help us bring healing to ourselves, healing to others who have been trauma survivors. So this was just a little reminder to me that we all have different pieces of art or different types of art that we enjoy the most and that speak to us in the strongest ways. And so we need to just always keep an open mind. We're looking for those things that are our jam. So one thing that was really interesting to me is this training is not put on by a faith-based group. During the training, the trainers are not focusing so much on connection with God or connection with Jesus, or how Jesus or God specifically plays into the healing of a trauma survivor, but they are acknowledging what role a person's faith can play in that healing. That was something that was interesting for me to process and think through, because I want to be using this Arts for Healing material in general with people who are in a faith-based organization or have a faith in Jesus. Throughout the training, I found myself thinking about how could I incorporate talking about the presence of God into this activity, or how could I incorporate focusing on a truth about Jesus in the midst of having my people go through a different activity. So that was just another thing that I was processing. And in this video, you're really getting a lot of my raw thoughts as I'm still reflecting and processing on this kind of level 1 of the training. And level 2 actually starts tomorrow. So I thought I better film this video before moving on. As I was kind of pondering the role that God and Jesus plays in healing from trauma, I found myself doing another little sketch here on the butcher paper, and I again will include a close-up so you can see this much clearer. But this was kind of my shout out to the old hymn, "Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing." And I was just thinking of the abundance that is available to us through God, the abundance of healing, the abundance of His love, that when we approach that fount of every blessing, we can truly heal and experience blessing. This training was giving me tools and different ways to just help people get to that place where they can truly connect on a deeper level with God and with Jesus. So I want to share with you a sample activity that I actually got to lead a portion of during the training, just as a practice. And this was a circle activity. So here's my little circle sheet that I came up with. Basically, we were partnered up and we had to share what is one thing in the last week that you feel proud of that you've done. And it could be something small, it could be something big, nothing's too insignificant. And so you tell your partner basically what's one thing you've done this week that you're proud of, and then your partner reflects back to you either a character trait or a strength or a value that they recognize in your story. So if you share a story about something you did that was difficult, maybe your partner would say, "I really see bravery in you from the story that you just told me." And so I shared a story, and my partner told me that one strength that she saw in my story was openness. And so what we did was just on a little corner on the back, we wrote down the word that our partner said, like openness, And then we had to pick a color or a symbol to go with that trait, something to symbolize it, a shape, a color. Openness was the one that I identified with. And so I drew a little pink flower. And then we had to take some time to think of what are 2 other character traits or core strengths that we see in ourselves, good things, because the point of this activity is to just really see how much strength you have within yourself. What are the traits you already have in order to help yourself heal from trauma? I came up with openness, the first one, and then peaceful and determination. And then the invitation was to create within the circle those symbols or colors or shapes that you chose to represent who you are or what these core strengths are in your own life. I have determination is kind of a center focus, but it's kind of sandwiched in between openness and peacefulness. So these are just some things that I see inside myself as strengths. And if I was trying to work through a trauma or something like that, this would be a really helpful exercise for me to do some introspection and see what are the things that God has already put inside of me as His creation that can help me to kind of find normality again after trauma, help me rebalance things in my life. So I thought that was really fun, and I wanted to share that with you as an example of kind of the type of thing that I was learning. As the 3 short days of the training came to a close, we were asked to revisit that original intention that we had set at the beginning of the training, and we were asked to either add on to the piece of art that we had created when the training began or create something separate. I picked up a second little taggy and I just did some collage work with some tissue paper. So for me, these colors were representing kind of those core strengths that I mentioned, like openness and peace and determination. This was just kind of my little representation of feeling a sense of calm and peace that I am doing the right thing in my life, following God, opening myself up to what He has for me in my future. These are my 2 little intentions, kind of the before and after, which is kind of fun, just little tokens to take with me so that I don't forget what I've learned and why I've learned it. During the first couple days, they had taken a photograph of each of us, a portrait, and at the end of the 3rd day, as kind of a closing ceremony, they presented each one of us with these little cards. And so these cards have our picture on them, and they just say, "You make the world more beautiful." That's kind of the goal, is we're trying to help one another heal. We're trying to help people find beauty and find creativity as a way for them to become more whole and find that true healing. On the back here, it also has a little declaration, and it says, "I have the right to be creative. I have the right to use my voice. I have the right to ask questions. I have the right to seek help and receive help. I have the right to support others. I have the right to make my own decisions. I have the right to be respected. I have the right to value myself. I have the right to love myself. I have the right to heal. I make the world more beautiful." That was just kind of a fun final token to take with me from the level 1 of this Arts for Healing training. Like I said, level 2 starts tomorrow. I will keep you guys posted on how that unfolds for me. And this probably won't be the last you ever hear about this Arts for Healing concept and how I'll be using it in the future. I'm excited to see how I can incorporate it into my Bible journaling workshops that I offer. I'm excited to just offer Arts for Healing workshops, Arts for Healing groups for people who are just feeling like they want to connect more through creativity and find true healing for themselves. That's something that the Lord is increasingly growing a passion within me. If you enjoyed this video, here's a couple more videos from my channel here on YouTube. You can visit me on Facebook, Because Jesus Bible Journaling, or over on Etsy, Because Jesus Bible Art, where I have some templates for sale for you to use in your own Bible. Jump into the Word of God for yourself today. It is amazing.